You're looking at a live picture of what is perhaps the most controversial rock concert tour in history. The Jackson Victory Tour, opening tonight in Kansas City.
Okay.
Good evening, I'm Ted Koppel, and this is Nightline. The show is on, the tour has begun, but the controversy continues over ticket sales and booking arrangements, and the way promoters of the Jackson Tour are handling them. We'll take you to tonight's concert as it's happening. We'll focus on the controversy and the phenomenon as we talk live, among others, with Michael Jackson's brother, Jackie Jackson.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
When the Rolling Stones toured the U.S. back in 1981, they made more money than any concert tour before or since, grossing $34 million. Estimates for the Jackson's Victory Tour range from a low of $60 million to a projected high of $100 million. When David Bowie toured last summer, he traveled with 45 tons of equipment, filling 6 semi-trailers. The Jacksons are traveling with 375 tons aboard 22 semis. Hotel costs alone, up to $1 million. Stadium costs, over $1 million. This tour, as Judd Rose tells us now, is the one by which all future rock tours will be measured.
In Kansas City, and everybody's very excited. That's tonight. Who would have thought 4 weeks ago they were even going to be coming to Kansas City?
Who would have thought 4 weeks ago they would have even been performing anywhere? But finally, they are, and today, the Jacksons and Kansas City fit together like a hand in glove.
I saw Michael Jackson. I saw Michael Jackson. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
He's gorgeous.
What do you look like?
Good. Dark and handsome.
We're so happy to be a part of this. This means very much to us. We want everyone to see the show.
And it's the show it seems everyone wants to see. It starts tonight in Kansas City, and from here continues on to at least 10 more cities, complete with its custom-made stage, 5 stories high, 60 feet long, 90 feet deep. It's the Victory Tour, perhaps the biggest in entertainment history.
It's bigger than the Beatles. It's bigger than Presley. It's bigger than anything.
And it happens here at the Truman Sports Complex. Now, Harry Truman coined the phrase, the buck stops here. But for the Jacksons, the bucks start here, 50, 60, maybe $100 million before it's over. And this may not just be where the tour starts, but where the turmoil ends. It began a year ago when the anniversary of Motown Records brought together the Jacksons and brought down the house. That led to a news conference announcing the tour, a reunion for superstar Michael Jackson and his singing siblings. Backing the concerts, boxing promoter Don King, who paid $3 million, and Pepsi-Cola, which fronted another $5.5 million. But the fizz faded fast. Months passed with nothing to show but ugly headlines documenting a tangled web of battling egos and fights over money and power involving agents, lawyers, and the promoter. At Michael Jackson's behest, Don King was demoted and a new promoter sought, and with weeks to go, the owner of the New England Patriots guaranteed almost $40 million and took on
The logistical equivalent of trying to do 12 to 14 Super Bowls in 5 weeks.
And everyone wanted a piece of the big game. Washington wanted it. Washington, D.C. wanted it.
So when you begin your greatly awaited cross-country tour, will you please be sure to stop off here in the nation's capital?
Even Wahoo wanted it.
Would you girls like to see Michael Jackson come to Wahoo?
Yes.
But if the Jacksons were needed in Nebraska, they were banned in Boston, or the next closest thing.
The motion is for denial. All in favor?
Foxborough, Massachusetts voted to keep the Jacksons out, fearing massive crowds, traffic, and vandalism. Ironically, that kept the tour out of the stadium owned by promoter Chuck Sullivan. He was embarrassed, and the fans were outraged.
I think there's a ripoff involved here, sure, and people have sensed it. I think there's been a lack of class.
Many of Ron Chapman's Dallas listeners agreed, calling in to condemn the Jacksons' controversial ticket system, sending in a $120 money order for 4 tickets, no choice of date or seat, and no guarantee.
Suppose you just had, it was just one person wanted to go, and then you had to order 4. I think that's stupid.
And if you didn't get tickets, you get a refund in 4 to 6 weeks.
Ordered tickets, paid $120, can't get them. They just won't show up.
If anybody was hurt, it wasn't done intentionally. It was only done in good faith. We wanted to give everybody an equal, fair chance to see the Jacksons on stage.
But many didn't take it that way. By early this week, less than half the 130,000 seats available for the Dallas concerts had been sold. There was talk of fan backlash, and the system was junked.
I've asked our promoter to end the mail order ticket system as soon as possible so that no one will pay money unless they get a ticket.
Equally outrageous to many, charges the promoters were trying to muscle unprecedented concessions from stadiums like the Cotton Bowl, which rejected a suggestion of free rent.
We will never give away our stadium.
And when promoter Sullivan suggested free rental to the New Orleans Superdome, officials there turned their backs too.
We even asked him somewhat facetiously at one time to try to show us a way that we could make $1, and he laughed somewhat and said that that maybe not be possible.
We've had auditoriums and hotels offer us free things, yes, because they wanted us to stay in the hotel for their publicity. But we've never tried to negotiate, say we want this free, we want that free, because that's not the way we do business.
It's hurt Michael Jackson already. Because of the way this thing is being organized, his basic humanistic appeal has been eroded. He's got to prove himself again.
I want you to know that I've decided to donate all my money I make from the performance to charity.
That's one way Michael Jackson hopes to repair his tarnished glitter, but the best way is what he and his brothers offer on stage. Tonight, it comes down to the stage. Here, the Jacksons can best silence their critics, offering them the thrill of victory and avoiding the agony of defeat. Judd Rose for Nightline in Kansas City.
When we come back, we'll hear 2 sides of the controversy over the Jackson tour. We'll talk live with the tour's national promoter, Chuck Sullivan, and with the general manager of the New Orleans Superdome, Ciff Wallace, and more of tonight's concert. I need to ask which one is well underway now in Kansas City, and we'll be showing you an excerpt from that concert a little bit later in this broadcast. But joining us live now from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City is Chuck Sullivan, national tour promoter for the Jackson Victory Tour. And from our affiliate, WVUE in New Orleans, Ciff Wallace, general manager of the New Orleans Superdome and president-elect of the International Association of Auditorium Managers, the people that tour promoters have to deal with when they want to book a concert into a stadium or concert hall. Are you a bad guy or just a fella trying to make a buck?
I don't think I'm a bad guy. What we're trying to present here, Ted, is a series of concerts, and tonight it's been so spectacular, it's like a touchdown a minute in the Arrowhead Stadium. That's all behind us now, Ted, and people just are looking at this thing like the most exciting thing that's ever happened since the Beatles tour.
Well, I suspect from Kansas City, and especially from Arrowhead Stadium, that it's a little hard to focus on what the rest of the world is thinking about. You got to remember, there are a few 100 million of us out there who are not at the concert. One of them who's not there is Ciff Wallace. Ciff, is it all behind them? Is the controversy over?
Well, I don't think it is, Ted. I think the controversy has been so serious the last few weeks that it's going to take a while for it to get over, but I'm happy to see some changes that have been made in the last few days that certainly correct some of the tragic mistakes I think were made some weeks ago when Mr. Sullivan came on the scene.
What, in fact, was it? I mean, you referred to them as tragic mistakes. Nobody was doing anything illegal or fattening, were they?
No, I don't think so. I think there were mistakes made with regard to trying to negotiate the deals with the stadiums. There was pressure put on us, unprecedented pressure, unlike any pressures that I've ever seen in some 20 years in this business. And we also saw a ticket campaign, a national ticket campaign, that really had, it was total disregard for the public. But that has been changed, and we're delighted to see that.
I went through the crowd early tonight, and I talked with over 100 fans, and none of them were complaining about the ticket policy. They were elated to be here, and they were elated to be a part of this wonderful spectacle of American music, because the big difference between this and the Beatles is the Jacksons are American. and what they're presenting here is the very best American music has to offer. And my family is proud to be a part of that.
Let me focus for one more minute, and we're going to be getting away from this in another couple of minutes. You'll be relieved to know. How much do you have to earn before you start making some money? In other words, how much does this concert have to gross before Chuck Sullivan starts putting anything away?
Ted, I don't even really know the exact numbers.
Rough ballpark figure will do just fine.
I think that the expenses of this production are so significant that at this point in time, it's really too early to judge. We're just hoping that we break even and we give America some fun this summer.
When you talk about unreasonable demands, is there such a thing in this game? I mean, if the Jackson family is so extraordinarily popular, why shouldn't they make any demands that they want? Why shouldn't their promoters make any demands that they want?
Ted, I think the unreasonable demands really can be equated to those demands associated with asking our facilities to effectively subsidize this tour. And when the Jacksons are so popular that they can demand $30 a ticket, which they may be able to demand and probably are going to show that they can demand it, they're grossing $4 to $5 million in each city. We can't expect the taxpayers to subsidize that tour and pay deficit operations in addition to paying for these public facilities. So the Jacksons must be expected to pay a reasonable and fair price for the public assembly facility, and a price that must be considered a normal cost of doing business in that respective city.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to take a break. We'll talk live with Michael Jackson's oldest brother, Jackie Jackson, when we return. Plus, we'll have more of tonight's concert.